Hello. Hi. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Shannon. Hello, Stevie. It is a beautiful day. And I think I've mentioned this that my daughter and her boyfriend from England were just here, and it's his first time in America. And we had all this crazy weather, like rain, and I'm like, it's not like this. We went to Malibu. I don't know if I've said this before. Sorry if you've heard it already. We went to Malibu to look at the pier and for him to see the ocean and drive along the coast. And it was completely 1,000,000% socked in. And so it's just so crazy. But here we are, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful clear day. Um, so, all right. Anything going on? Anything you'd like to report? Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling. Um, I don't know if you're watching the summit. I just have to say that I am loving it. And today I was listening to a physician and Dr. Saeed, and I think that's how you say her name. And it was amazing because it was a functional perspective of osteoporosis, and it was looking at other markers that contribute to bone loss. And they're finding that some of these markers actually show a greater risk of fracture. So they're able to correlate that if these things are off in your blood, that it's signs, that there's signs there so that you can implement a healing protocol. I haven't yet heard what her protocol is, if she's going to share that. And if you're not there already, please go on my website, debbierobinson.com, and sign up and watch, because if you have osteoporosis, and it is the number one disease of women in menopause, then you'll want to know as much as possible. And so on my website, top of the page is a banner that you could go on. Good, Stevie. Yeah, it's really amazing. A lot of information, and I think that's kind of what happens. You have to find what works for you. Two main things are you have to create the forces to build bones, mechanical force. We're doing that today. And you have to make sure that you have the nutrients to build the bones, and you don't have any of the factors, that inflammation and dysfunction and dysbiosis, that takes away from those building blocks of your bones. So those are the real biggies. Oh, and then the last piece, the really important piece, is this right here, because this runs the show. And I don't care what anyone says. They're kind of getting that, but that really is what runs the show, is the mind. Let me just turn off my notifications. So, all right. Well, if there isn't anything in particular that's going on, not that I have anything in particular planned in terms of a practice, except a bone building practice. So I think that's what you're all here for. Or actually, I'm not sure if that's what you're all here for. The practice of yoga and what I share with you and teach with you is this. There is definitely the physical body part, which most of us think yoga is, because we have to be strong as we're aging. We have to keep this in shape for aging so that this will not get affected, because when this breaks too. Or sometimes maybe this is happening first and then it contributes to this. Mind-body connection, that is what we're understanding here in the West is the way to heal. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So bring your mind and your body here and leave everything else. Leave tomorrow where it is, which is gone, never ever going to happen again. So let's not waste any time in that space of yesterday. And sorry, did I say yesterday? I meant yesterday. Yesterday's gone, never ever going to happen. And tomorrow hasn't even happened. So worrying about something that's unreal is crazy, right? So let's be here right now. And for today's practice, you're going to do whatever you can do. We're going to work on you having the best function you can have, the strongest muscles to mobilize your joints in that function, and the strongest bones. That is what supports you and helps you navigate through life. So please get your props out. We're going to need a block and a strap. I only use these few props when we're at home because I don't know what you have and I don't want to instruct with something that you may not have. However, I do love lots of other props to help us. A blanket is always something you will use or always could use, and it could be even the only thing you ever use is a blanket or towels because you can make this out of anything. And I'd like to begin in whatever position you can come into that is comfortable for you, because the important thing is to arrive and to bring yourself, mind, body, and soul to this moment. So wherever you are, come into a seated position. If you could still bend your knees and sit on your heels, try that. If not, sit in a crisscross position or even in a chair, so that the practice is available for you no matter who you are and no matter what your abilities are. That's what's really important, is that yoga is an individual practice. It's something that you're doing to connect your mind, your body, and your soul, really, your true essence, whatever that is, the part of you that loves, feels, wants the things you want, desires. So bring yourself to a closed eyes position. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, and then bring your hands together in front of your heart. Push your heart strongly towards your thumbs and your thumbs strongly towards your heart. And feel how that activates the muscles of the upper back. This in and of itself is turning on your structural support muscles in your spine. Find the back of your neck and create length in the back of your neck. You can imagine that you have a string in the center of your head lifting you up. You could push your head back and then bring your awareness to that beautiful spine of yours, 26 teacups, porcelain, beautiful. Find that alignment. Keep your mouth closed, back teeth are separated, lips are touching. And just breathe. In your nose, follow the breath in. Notice where the breath goes. How much of your chest moves? Does your spine move? Can you breathe in and breathe back to your spine? And can you feel the breath going all the way down to your pelvis? Noticing what you notice. Do you feel at peace? Do you feel distracted by your mind? Distracted by your body? Do you have any sensations? Do you feel safe? Take one more breath. Bring your hands, rub your hands together. Cover your eyes to minimize the light, and then gently blink the eyes open. Bringing the hands down. I was on a podcast being interviewed yesterday, and she said, what is your one tip that you do throughout your day that you would share with people? And we were talking about root cause of osteoporosis and gut health and all this, and vitamins and supplements. She does a lot of that. And I said, the one thing that I do that I think is the most important that I do throughout my day is that I constantly take breaks to stop whatever I'm doing, to connect to myself, to connect to my breath, either outside in nature or looking at something beautiful like flowers or bees or something, or my cats. And I stop and I let nature in some way, shape, or form be what I'm focusing on at that moment. Or I focus on my breath. And it's that clearing of the chalkboard of the mind. Our mind throughout the day, we're like writing, I got to do this, and she said this, and I got to eat this, and I'm this, and I'm not this, and da 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 da. I don't have this. Da, da, da. It's like a chalkboard all day long. Scribble, scribble, scribble. So throughout your day, you have to take the eraser and clear the chalkboard, because mental emotional stress contributes to bone density loss, and there's studies that prove that. So that is my biggest tip of what I do. Let's bring our legs straight, because we sat there with bent knees for a little while. And take your arms straight, take your hands on the floor, slide your shoulder blades towards each other and lift your chest up so you have no collapsing of your chest in this position. And if your wrists do not like to be in a position, find where they can be. If you could have your hands a little closer together, you're going to be able to get the shoulder blades to let you be like this. And if you take them really far away, it's a little bit easier to find that collapse and that rounding, and that's what we're moving away from. We're raising our awareness to the front of our spine, keeping it lifted. I am getting more and more women in my world coming to me or posting with me about spinal wedge fractures, and we know this is where half of the fractures occur. So always with the raised awareness, and am I open in the front of my chest? So come here, pointing your toes and flexing. Point and flex. Point and flex. Point and flex. And then bend your knees, take your legs pretty wide, and let's do a little here. Keep your tushy cheeks on the floor. Keep your buttocks on the floor. Do not lift any buttocks off the floor. So yes, you're not going to be able to move very far in your kneecaps or in your hip, which is where this action is taking place, because we locked your pelvis in place. That's okay. Just want to get a little something going on here. And then bring yourself up, bring yourself to the side, open front spine, open front spine, open sesame. We're going to be open sesame, open front spine. We're going to come down onto the ground. Ooh, before we go down, let's roll up our blanket. So let's do something to help that open sesame rolled up spine, or open front spine with a rolled up blanket. Take your blanket really nice and wide or long like this. So if you do it in a short way, you won't have enough space for your head. So a very nice long blanket so you can get some nice support. And then start to roll it tighter if you are pretty flexible. And if you have rounding in your upper spine, if you're someone that when you lie down on the ground, you need a lot of support for your head, like a blanket or a pillow, you would do a shorter or softer fold. And then for those that have a little bit more of a corrected postural position, you can get with a tighter blanket. And then we're going to come down, open sesame, open sesame. Make sure the front of your spine is open sesame. And then come all the way down. So the tushy is on the floor, the spine is on the blanket, and if you would like, you may press the blanket underneath your neck so you support it, or you may need to fold your blanket or get something else to help with the head. So it really is dependent on how much, what's happening to your thoracic and cervical spine. How much tightness is in the front of your body, and how much is the tone lost in the back of the body, which is what happens in that rounded position. Not to worry, able to be corrected. Spine is supported, open sesame in the front. We're going to take our arms to the side. I'd like to practice a breath. I'd like to give you a breath today that is a really good starting place and a great place to always go to if you need it. So take your feet a little wider than the body. The knees are touching each other. Pick your head up and lengthen the back of the neck nice and long. Feel the center of your head where your weight is, not the top of the head. So the chin not pointing up towards back wall. You have the tip of your nose pointing straight up, and you feel the pressure right behind, maybe where the top of the bridge of the nose is, or maybe on the bridge of the nose. You feel the pressure right there. Arms are to the side in whatever way you need them to be to feel a stretch where the arms attach to the body, the chest muscles, the shoulder muscles. These muscles get tight from the forward movement that we do throughout our day. Cooking, reading, knitting, crocheting, quilting, gardening, computer, texting, reading, most of the things we're doing, right? What we need is we need to be able to have eyes in the back of our head. If we could put eyes on the back of our head, then we could start holding ourselves upright posturally every day and get stronger and stronger. So we're gonna work on that eyes in the back of the head, like we're looking backwards. All right, let that go. Let that thought go. Bring your awareness to your mouth. Lips are touching, teeth are separated. Spine is supported by the blanket. Tushy is on the floor. Knees are touching, feet are wider than the body. And you'll see that if you walk the feet away, that might feel better for your low back. If you walk the feet closer, that might be better for your low back. All depends on how your skeleton is being held in place by the soft tissue and the connective tissue, your fascia, your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons. So explore what is feeling the best for you, so you're not distracted by your body here. Deep breaths to the chest. Let's warm up from the inside out. Deep breaths to the entire rib cage. Feel it expand and contract. So the breath I'm going to teach you is called breath of peace, and the Sanskrit term is Sukha Pranayama. Pranayama is to extend your life force energy, to give you, to think about your joie de vivre, that unnameable vibrance and happiness and zest for life kind of feeling. That's what we're doing here. So keep the mouth closed, back teeth are separated. I'll count with you for first few rounds, and then I'd like you to count on your own. I'm going to do 6 and 6. And if for any reason you find that this is not an appropriate number for you, then you could go to your own number. So let's prepare by taking a very big exhale. Begin. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue on your own, using whatever numbers are appropriate, keeping the breath even. Same number on the inhale, same number on the exhale. Stay with counting. Stay with your breath. And if you get distracted, use counting to keep your busy mind active. Counting helps to focus the mind. Finishing the breath that you're on. Letting the breath go back to the body. Feel your lungs expanding. See if you could feel them expanding in all their ranges of motion. Forward, backward, side, side, top, and bottom. Lungs are not muscular. They're elastic tissue. And as you breathe in and out, your diaphragm creates volumetric pressure that expands the rib cage, stretching the muscles of respiration, and your lungs expand. Up, back, side to side, top, bottom. Take your fingers, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. If it's okay for your low back and your shoulders, come into a full body extension. And if it's not okay for your back and shoulders, either don't straighten the legs, straighten them a little bit. If the arms or the shoulders won't lift up, then lift them as high as they will. It doesn't matter. What range of motion do you have is what matters. Any range of motion will take anything we can get. Palms are facing up towards the sky for maximum stretch. Heels of the feet are reaching away from you. Heels of the hands are reaching away from you. Press your belly button to your spine to protect your lumbar spine. Gently hugging your lumbar spine as you lift, lift, lift. Feel your ribs moving away from your pelvis and stretch your tissues. Feel what you feel. Close your eyes and notice what you notice. Make sure you have open sesame in the front of your chest. Front spine bones are not pressing down into each other. So you may need to press your heart forward. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bend your knees. Bring yourself onto the side. Stay here. Let's do a little rolling of the shoulder joint, opening the shoulder. And for those with shoulder issues, this quite often is doable at some capacity. And then go the other direction. I'm always amazed that people with shoulder issues that can't lift their arms very high and they have chronic shoulder pain and issues and rotator cuff tears and all these things are able, when they're in this position, when the humerus bone is pressing towards the shoulder girdle, or sorry, the shoulder, when it's pressing towards the shoulder joint, that they're able to get some freedom in their arm. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. So roll over, up and over. Watch how when you come to the center, how much opening comes into your thoracic spine, the whole spine, but we really want that thoracic spine to get a nice opening because that's where the majority of the fractures occur. And then right at the top, those two top low back bones. Come to the other side and do the same thing, whatever your body will let you do. I'll take whatever I can get. You'll take whatever you can get. Be happy. And then go the opposite direction. Maybe you hear some clinging and clanging. As long as it's not painful, moving your joints. Maybe they're aligned, maybe they're not. Then bring yourself back. So we're going to come to a lifted position here. We're going to lift ourselves up. Do not lift with your head. Do not let your head lift up. Push your hands into the ground. Let your head join the rest of the body as you bring yourself up. And then bring yourself onto your blanket. So take your blanket, fold your blanket, and then bring yourself forward onto your blanket. We're going to do a little bit to stretch the hip flexors. We're going to do a little weighted stretching for the hips. So this can be a little more intense when you add body weight to stretching. It means we're going to be pulling on muscles more than usual when you're in this upright position. And what does that mean? When you pull on muscles, you're pulling on bones, you create bone building stimulation. Bring your left foot forward, please. Bring your left foot forward, take your block to the right side. Left foot is forward. You're going to make sure that your knee is here and your ankle is forward of your knee. So do not have your foot too close to you. And then the more in alignment you are, like railroad tracks, the more balance challenge this may be for some of you. So if that's the case, you take your foot a little bit wider. So just to show you what I mean is when the foot is here in front of you, the closer it is to a neutral pelvis, the more balance challenges this may be. So you could take your leg over to the side a little bit, and that creates a little bit of a wider base. And we know that the strongest, most sturdy structure in nature is a triangle with that wide base. So bringing your leg forward in whatever is appropriate for you, and then take it forward a little bit more than you think you should or wanted to. And now I want you to push the heel into the floor like crazy so you actually feel your glutes turning on. Feel something happening here. Push the floor into the ground, and then take your left hand on your left thigh and push down so you can really lengthen your spine. Open sesame, opening up your spine. Take your right arm up towards the sky, and if you can add a back bend, pushing your heart forward, you probably will feel a stretch on the right side body, maybe on the inside where the belly button is. And then if you flex your wrist, try to flatten your hand up towards the sky, reach the heel of your hand up, take one more breath, and then bring yourself back. That's the top part of your psoas. Let's stretch the bottom part of the psoas, where the psoas attaches to the bone. Take your hands on your thigh, exhale, and then inhale. Let your body weight come forward. Bend your front knee, bend your hip, and then exhale to push yourself back. These two joints are bending. I want your whole body to come forward. The torso joins the party and comes along for the ride. Low body movement. Push your heel into the floor. Bend your knee, bend your hip. Hands are here to push down to open up the front of your spine. And you're going to feel the front of the right leg, because the left leg is forward. Front of the right leg, you're going to feel a strong stretch where that hip joint is. And then come forward and stay forward. Stay here. Nice, tall spine. Open sesame in the front of your spine. Then if you want, you could take your hand down on your block. So now, still long spine, you're bending a little deeper in that hip, taking your hand onto your block. The hand is here, and lengthen your spine. And if you want to try to turn your upper spine, so you're going to take your rib cage towards this side. You have to have your spine open here. You cannot be in a rounded position. That's unsafe for your spine. That's not good at all for the spine bones. So you have to be long in your spine forward with your body. You cannot have your tushy up here, cannot have your spine rounded and try. That would be a no. You come forward, lengthen your spine, and rotate. Hopefully you feel a pretty strong stretch in the right side body, especially right along the belly button. This is the psoas, your filet mignon. It's your loin, and it's the muscle that attaches the upper and the lower body. And then bring yourself out. Let's come back. So when we do our hip strengthening work, we want to have that joint nice and open and mobile and lubricated and receptive. Take your right leg forward. Block is on the mat. You decide here, how far to the side do I need my foot to be? Can I put my foot center? This is the left hip now is having to manage balancing you. So for me, this is my hip replacement side. I don't have the same kind of balance in my hip replacement side as I do in my natural hip, because I don't think that metal and ceramic and plastic quite communicates the same way that natural bones and natural tissues do. And I practice a lot and I have pretty strong balance. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Push the right foot into the floor strongly so you feel that right tushy cheek activate. Feel that activate. And then take your right hand on your thigh, take your left hand up to the sky and reach. Stretch nice and long on that left side. Adding a back bend, opening up the front of the spine. The back bend is if it feels appropriate for you. You're lifting the lower rib away from the pelvis. It's going to pull on ribs, create stimulation in your ribs, stretching the top of the psoas and the abdominal muscles, the core, the support, balance, fall prevention, flexing the wrist, putting the wrist up towards the heel of the hand, actually, up towards the sky. Reach. Take one more breath and then bring yourself out. You're going to take your hands on top of your thighs. The block is on the left side. Let's take an exhale and then inhale. Bend the right hip, bend the right knee to bring your body forward, lengthening the front of that left thigh. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Really keep nice and lifted here. That'll help with balance as well if you feel like a proud peacock. And then the last one, you're going to bring yourself forward. Stay here. Push your hands into your thighs. Lengthen your spine here. Feel that stretch. Feel that stretch as you pull your lower ribs. Now, for those of you that have some rounding in the upper spine, you might feel this might be pretty extreme for you because this is the whole front belly, the abdominal area that we're stretching. So of course, do what's appropriate for you. Let's take our hand onto the block, adding a little rotation if that's appropriate. You're going to take your right hand on your thigh, your left hand on the block to get length in your spine. No rounding in the spine. And make sure your head stays lifted because where the head goes, the spine follows. Nice tall spine, and if you'd like to add rotation, you're trying to turn the rib cage and the heart to look over the right side. Feel what feels appropriate in your body. Deep flexion in the hips and the knee, the right hip, the right knee. Nice spine, press the heart forward. Make sure you have open sesame in the front of your chest. You're opening up the front of your vertebra. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back to neutral. Bring yourself back up and out and down. All right. So we're going to go into plank and we're going to hold this for a minute. This is a power posture, something you could do anytime, all the time, whenever you remember, because this posture is going to strengthen a lot of aspects that are good for healthy aging, good for fall prevention, good for balance, good for strength, good for everything. So with the plank, there's a traditional plank, there's the modification of the plank, and for those who do not like to weight bear on the wrists, there's the dolphin version of plank, forearm plank. So choose what's appropriate for you and your body. I'm going to do this for a minute, and I may even add a couple of other little things in there. So do what you can. Don't do too much. Go to your edge and safely if you're going to go a little over, but make sure that everything you do is safe and appropriate for you. Don't do what I'm doing unless it is appropriate for you. So take your hands underneath your shoulders, point your fingers forward and spread your hands so you have a nice firm foundation. And then walk your hands forward a little bit so you have nice space between your knees and your hands. And then press your fingertips into the floor like crazy and see how that takes away the pressure from the wrists. Take one foot back at a time or come into whatever version of plank you're going to come into. And then push yourself forward and back. Notice how there's a little play here in this. And push yourself back so that you put weight in your feet and it's not all in your hands. Lots of strength for the upper body here. Push your feet into the floor. Feel the pinky toes on both feet. Right now, try the right pinky and the left and really push them like crazy into the floor. And then push all 5 toes in each foot into the floor. Bring your awareness to your hands. Press the fingertips of the right hand into the floor like crazy, and the left hand, especially the pointer finger and the thumbs. Feel your hands pushing strongly away from the floor, and feel your feet. How strong you feel. Push your belly button up towards your spine, lengthen your spine, opening the front of the spine. And then go ahead and bring yourself down. Wahoo. All right, we're going to come into camel posture, which is a back bend. Let's make sure that we're kind of warmed for this. So we're going to take our hands down to the side. Let's come up, reach up, and then let your chin come towards your chest, come down. The only thing that's flexing here is the neck. So your whole spine is staying nice and long, but at the end, you tuck your chin towards your chest, and that stretches the back of your neck. Inhale. Again, if you have shoulders that don't like to lift up, maybe you're up to here. And then you go down. Doing whatever you can do, not thinking about what you can't do. And then bring yourself forward. You're going to take your arms open, really feel that beautiful stretch, and then close. Don't round your spine here, always keeping the front open. If I say that enough here, hopefully it becomes ingrained in you. And throughout your day, you think about it. Because I know I do. I catch myself every time I'm forward folding. And I can't remember today what I was doing when I thought of that. Maybe it was brushing my teeth. And then I went into my hip joint and I said, am I bending enough at my hip or am I bending in my spine? And then I activate my hip joint, push my tushy back, and was able to lengthen my spine and open the front. So come here in this open position. There's a back bend. And then point your tailbone down so that you correct the bottom. So a little posterior tilt of the pelvis, especially if you have a really strong curve here in your low back. And then bring yourself out. All right. Hands on the shoulders. Let's take the shoulders up and back and around, up and back and around. And then bring the shoulders forward and out to the sides, forward and out to the sides. Try to go to the side as much as you can, to the side as much as you can. And then bring yourself back to center. Whoa, feel all that? Deltoids got some work there. And the intention was really to warm up the back. All right, so we're going to do the camel. Now, I like to teach it this way, and I think that this is a really nice, safe way for us to do it, but I'll also show it for those that are a little bit more bendy. If you take your hands and you place your hands so that the heel of the hand is on the top of your pelvis. Heel of the hand is on the top of the pelvis, and that will even help get a little bit of that posterior tilt to come into the pelvis. And when you get that posterior tilt, that kind of relaxes here. Now soften your belly, because camel, and you slide your elbows towards each other and your shoulder blades towards each other. So this is camel. We're going to hold it for 30 seconds. Now that's one way. For those that are pretty bendy, this is not something that I would be doing, but you can come into this, and it's not about throwing your head back. You want to still be able to talk. Okay, I shouldn't just be throwing my head back like that. All right. I'm usually very conscious of not coming into something unless my body's warm, and even when I show you what not to do, doing it nicely. But when I threw my head back there, that was a lot of strain on the neck muscles. So don't do that. So we're going to prepare by taking our hands on the top of our pelvis. I find a little bit of a wider knee base. So instead of being here, having your legs be a little wider is a little bit more supportive and freeing of the pelvis to move into this camel. So you're going to take your hands onto, and it could be fists, by the way. You could make flat hands, or you could make fists. So you're really pushing down the top of that, of your pelvis. And then soften your belly, slide your shoulder blades towards each other, slide your elbows towards each other. And then let's come into this posture by lifting your heart, sliding the elbows towards each other, really adding a back bend into your body here. Feel that really strong back bend. Come into the position where it's like, ooh, you feel an intensity. And then you've entered it in the depth that you should be in, really keeping your pelvis safe. Soften your belly. Breathe down to your belly. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out. The camel posture is good because it's strengthening the postural muscles and it's opening up the shoulders. So I feel a lot of stretch here for me on the shoulders. And remember, one thing I was mentioning, or one thing I'd like you to think about and remember is this. What if you had eyes on the back of your head and the eyes on the back of the head were looking? Just close your front eyes, turn on your back of the head eyes, and even notice that if you were trying to look at the back of the head eyes, imagine you see something in front of you right now that you're trying to look at. Don't you even feel the body kind of moving in that direction? How that support happens? And then go ahead, open your front eyes and close your back eyes. Now, of course, we can't communicate for you to say something to me. If I were in a live class or in a private session, I'd be able to get feedback for that. I'm going to say that I felt that in my body. So, all right. The next thing we're going to come to is a little challenging, and I want to preface it by saying that. We're going to do a side plank. And side plank is a challenging, I'm going to say it's the hardest thing that I do. So for me, it's the toughest thing where I have to really hold myself in this and breathe myself through it, is the side plank. So this is the big version. It's crazy. A modification, yeah. I mean, I want to say that a modification could be here where the lower legs are on, but make sure you're not collapsing in this upper body. So you could do that. And then another variation, it's really more of a half moon than it is a side plank, but it's still lateral body, which is what we're going for here. We want to strengthen the side of our body because that strengthens our spine. So this is really good for spinal strengthening or turning on the muscles that support the spine. So you're going to choose whichever one you want. We're going to do it for 30 seconds. And if you need to come down before, please do so. Being near a wall to do this is a really great, actually, I'm going to move closer to the wall because it is so supportive to have the wall there because you can reach your hand back towards the wall and that gives you a lot of activation in the shoulder girdle for support. So I am going to be near my wall. And if you don't have a wall, the back of the sofa or a back of a big chair is pretty good too. So we're going to come on, and this side that I'm on happens to be the right side. So the pointer fingers are forward, take one foot back, and then take the other foot back. And if you're coming into a different variation, then you come in through your variation. Let's come up and come into this. If you are at the wall, you put your hand back. It's really helpful. Now really push your foot into the floor because that'll help distribute the weight down low and make it not all upper body, which is what makes this so hard. Lengthen your spine, lift your heart forward, push your feet into the floor, push your hand into the floor. And then happily come down. What do you think? Woo! Feel it in my wrist, feel it in my waist. That's actually the one pose that is used for treating scoliosis. And Dr. Fishman was in an MRI for 8 minutes, holding this posture for 8 minutes while they looked at changes in his spine. So it's called Vasisthasana in Sanskrit. It's known as side plank. And boy, is it a humdinger for me. I don't know about you. All right. Hands are together. Take your feet back. When your feet are touching, when you come into it, when you come into it, you lift your pelvis up and you roll to the outside edge of the foot that you're going to be on. And then if you are near that wall, my fingers are touching the wall. So this really gives me something to keep me upright and not round forward. Push your feet into the floor so you're really activating the lower body muscles. Push your hand into the floor. Lengthen your spine. And then happily dismount. All right. Whew. Let's do a twist while we're here. Let's take the blanket, fold the blanket, bring the blanket onto the floor. Bring your block next to you. Bring your tushy to the edge of the blanket, reach down, grab a hunk of flesh, take it back, grab another hunk of flesh, mostly muscle, largest muscle in the body, right? You got to always notice what's happening at the layer of the mind. What are you stimulating? What are you triggering? What are you telling yourself? And so if we grab something, we might be, oh my gosh, could definitely happen when we're in the belly area, right? Okay. And I say that because that used to happen for me before my hip replacement when I was about 30 pounds more than I am right now, the heaviest I've ever been, other than being pregnant. And when I would do these things, especially this twist, and my belly would get in the way of my leg, and it would just be so like, ugh, so forefront for me. So I'm just so aware of how that can be this big mental distraction. And we're going to be total self-care, self-love when we're in our practice because, hey, you're here and you're doing it. So, all right, let's come into, I'm going to bend the left leg, so I'll instruct for the left side. If you'd like to follow me, that would be great. Take your block behind you. We're going to do a twist here. We're going to twist and stimulate the spine. So we've done a lot today to support the spine. Now we're actually going to pull on the spine bones, and we're actually pulling on ribs here too. So this is going to strengthen ribs. This is going to strengthen spine. Your right leg is straight. Your left leg is bent. You're going to hold on to your left leg with your left arm so that you could find length and open sesame in the front vertebra. Make sure each one has open, open, open. Take your hand on your block, push down with your feet, push down with your leg, get nice length in your spine. Take an exhale, and then inhale, lower ribs, middle ribs, and upper ribs. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Chest is lifted, shoulders are lowered, shoulder blades are squeezing towards each other. Deep breaths down to your belly. Feel that lift and that opening of your front chest. And it's your whole rib cage that's rotating around. This also puts pressure on lumbar spine, which is where the reading is when you have a DEXA scan. Push away from the block, push away from the floor, get tall, take one more breath. And then go ahead and slowly, slowly, slowly bring yourself down. Let's go to the other side. We're going to bend the right knee. The block is behind you. Your hand comes on the block. Left leg is straight. Left leg pushes down. Right foot pushes down. You hold on to the right leg, pushing down onto the block and pulling on the right leg so that you can get length in your spine. Open the front of your spine. Lift your heart. Take an exhale. Inhale, lower ribs, then the middle ribs, then the upper ribs. Rotate, rotate, rotate like an upward spiral. Lower your shoulders, slide your shoulder blades towards each other gently. See if you could lift your chest even more. Really lift yourself nice and tall. Spiral around. Open your heart. Open your chest. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself forward, bring yourself out. Take your legs long, and then take your legs wide. The wide legs can give a little bit of a reprieve from holding the upper torso upright, gives you that wider base, triangle being the strongest shape in nature. And in that twist, I instructed to lift your heart, and I even said the words, open your heart. And what that brought up for me was that in my training, sometimes when we do a twist, and there is that aspect of the heart, it could actually release some emotion. So if something pops up for you, some kind of emotion, notice that, and then remind yourself where you are. What is today? Where are you and what are you doing? So whether that was a good memory, if it's a good one, you can leave it. But if it's not a great memory that comes up, repatterning the biochemical and physiological reaction of whatever was stimulated to be right here, right now, where you are safe and you are taking care of yourself and you have enough and you are enough. All of those things. Ooh, what a deep practice yoga is, right? Okay, so let's bring ourselves forward. Let's take our strap. So I'd like you to take your strap. Let's do a little here to stretch our body. If your shoulders don't like to bend, maybe you can have the strap a little lower and do some of this, pushing the strap back and stretching whatever you can. You have 206 muscles. You have all this tissue. You have bones, 206 bones, sorry, and at least 600 to 800 muscles. And you have fascia and ligaments and tendons. So something's going to stretch. And then try to get the strap to go back and let the strap come forward. Strap goes up and back, open up your heart, and then forward. Again. And then bring yourself all the way up, nice and tall. And let's see if you could go, bend the elbow that goes down and keep the arm that's up straight. Bend the elbow that goes down, keep the arm up straight. This is a little bit of a movement to the side. And especially because we're standing, we're not trying to bend our whole body. You don't want to bend your body. You want to lengthen your spine and stretch it. Lengthen your spine and stretch it. If you have low back issues, this is the part of the body that you'll stretch to relieve low back issues. And then bring yourself back to center. So if you have a strap with a loop, I'd like you to loop your strap, with the D-rings, and you loop it. And if you don't have a strap that loops, take your strap and tie it. And you want this, whatever your loop is, you want your loop to be this wide so that when you put your hands in it, your arms are not super wide. Put your arms in it like this in your strap, and you're going to feel your shoulders activate. This activates the upper shoulder girdle, which is a big part of posture. Pushing out on this, you're going to feel this. And then you could try to lift yourself up, pushing out on this and coming back. Do a couple of raises here. Lots of shoulder. This is part of balance and fall prevention is the shoulder girdle. And how strong and supportive is your shoulder girdle? What's happening to your chest? Open sesame, lift your heart forward, and then bring yourself down. Keep that loop in your strap. Keep your strap and your block nearby. And then we're going to come to standing. Bring your weakest leg forward if it's easier for you to get up, or bring your strongest leg forward if you have a challenge. And you're going to work on that weakest leg once you know that you have it. So whenever you realize you have, start to work on your weaker side. Take your back foot back, take your hands here, take an exhale and an inhale. And then bring yourself forward and push away on your exhale. Bring yourself all the way up slowly, 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 and bring yourself to standing. And then we're going to bend down with a flat back, really deeply bending the hip joint to come down a little lower, to bend down, taking the blanket off. Yes, a chair. Let's get a chair, please. We're going to use a chair here, and it would be really nice, actually, to use a wall. And if you do use a wall, you may be able to actually use a block for this. So let me just show you what we're going to do. We're going to do the half moon pose, which is called Ardha Chandrasana in Sanskrit. You're going to come into this, and then you're going to roll in your hip joint to open up. So we are rolling in our hip joint here. I want you to be careful. And so this is the posture. Or for some of you, if you have a little bit more flexibility in that standing leg and a little stronger balance, you may be able to come down a little lower in a block. So you've seen these two variations. You determine what looked like, oh, that one's for me. And that inner intelligence kind of knows. So we're going to have the chair there, for those of you that want the chair, the block there, and you could have a wall here. I don't really recommend ever doing this in the middle of the room, no matter who you are, no matter how strong your balance is, especially if you're in, the 50 plus crowd. I guess if you're a super strong yoga practitioner, but even then, I've been in so many workshops where people fall out of this in the middle of the room, even people that have a very strong practice. So there is a challenge here. We're going to roll into our side hip joint, and we're going to be balancing on the side of our hip, which is not a normal thing your hip does. All right, unless you practice this kind of stuff often. So you take your foot to face the block or to face the chair. You decide which one you're going to be doing. You're going to activate your core, push your belly button back towards your spine. As you bring your leg up, don't let it flop up like a fish, floppy fish. And then you're going to roll in your hip joint to come into this posture. Lift your leg. If your hand is on your waist, contract your core, push your belly button towards your spine. Elbow drawing backwards helps with balance because it brings the shoulder blade onto the back. And then if you like, you can lift your arm up. If there's a wall behind you, then it gives you something to touch to help with the balance. This is a lot of balance work. And if you need to look straight down towards the ground, do that. Grab the floor with your standing leg. Contract your core, lengthen your spine, open up your heart. And then coming down, you could bend the knee, bend your hip, bend your leg, keep your spine nice and long, keep your front spine open, head up, and then bring yourself all the way up and out slowly. So I have not done this posture in a while, and I'm going to say that that was pretty much a big challenge for me for that 30-second hold. For various reasons. I have very fatigued legs right now. So that's part of it. All right, chair or block, you decide. Choose the best thing for you. Know this leg. Is this your strong leg or is this a weaker leg? Is this a stronger side of balance or weaker? And notice those things. So you're going to point your toes forward. Put a bend in that leg. Bend at your hip joint. Keep your spine open, front of your spine open to bring your hand onto the block. Contract your core, push your belly button towards your spine, and then bring the leg up with awareness. Hand is on the waist, elbow back. So bring yourself up, lift that top leg, push away from the floor. And then if you'd like to bring the arm up, bring the arm up. Contract the core, grab the floor with your foot. Really active top leg will help. Take one more breath. And then slowly, slowly bend your knee. Keep your throat open. Keep your head up. Keep your chest open and bring yourself up. So the half moon that we just did, I think it's really great to practice near a wall. And not being too close to the wall, but being near the wall so you can actually use your arm. It's super helpful. In the beginning, I have people start with their leg against the wall. So when they go up, their hip is connected to the wall, so they have some support. And then moving away from the wall, it takes quite a while. Maybe something you will do, maybe something you'll never do. It doesn't matter. But this is to load up the side hip joint and to balance in an area you don't usually. So it's really amazing for balance training and for fall prevention. All right. So this class happens to be a little bit more of a challenging class. I don't know if you could tell that. My classes are, I call them strong, stronger, and strongest. And I would say that this is the strongest practice. We're doing the category of strongest. So please find what's appropriate for you in your body. We're going to come into a twisted triangle. Why not? Probably the strongest pose that Dr. Fishman does in all of his 36 poses. So let's do it. You're going to have your chair there. So the chair is there if you need it. The block on the floor is definitely going to be a little bit more challenging. Have that front foot just right where the chair is, though. Don't have it too close to the chair. So you don't want to be too close. And your feet are about 2.5 feet apart. Push your feet into the floor. Get nice and tall. With a long spine, you're going to bring yourself forward, 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 and then take your hand forward and diagonal. Take your hand on your waist, push your feet into the floor, and find more length in your spine as you rotate, rotate, rotate your spine around. Rotate, rotate. For those of you that want it to go down a little bit lower, you need the block maybe a little farther away from you. Make sure your spine is long and you are rotating your spine. Chest is open. Push your feet in. Open, open, open. You can take the back of your hand on your sacrum in your pelvis and move the shoulder back, twisting your spine, more spinal stimulation, hip and pelvic stimulation here. Smile. Take one more breath. And then bending the front leg to come out. That's how you get out. Bring yourself all the way up. Bring your block with you. When you get a DEXA scan reading that reads the 4 lower lumbar vertebra, because it's the rib cage gets in the way and the pelvis gets in the way. So when they're doing a DEXA scan reading, the only part of us they could see are these 4 lumbar, L1, 2, 3, 4. And then they look at the hip and they look at the total hip, which is the outside of the hip and the neck, where the neck of the femur begins, or they look at where the neck of the femur begins. Those are the, where the neck begins, outside trochanter, greater trochanter, or lesser trochanter area, the trochanter, or they do that whole thing together. This posture that we're doing here is creating a lot of stimulation here, and it's creating stimulation in. So this could even be called the DEXA scan posture, where it's really targeting the areas that the DEXA shows what is your bone mineral density. And then bending your hips, which is not the indicator of fracture risk. It's the quality of your bone tissue, really, that matters. Not so much about how much light went through that machine to detect it. Okay, so you're going to take your front foot forward, not too close to underneath the chair, because you want to still weight bear on your both legs. You don't want your whole body weight to go forward. You want to still be able to put the body weight back. And then take your back foot about 2.5 feet, railroad track distance. Bending forward at the hip, keep the front of your spine open, the head lifted. Put your hand on the chair and then correct yourself by pushing down and get as long as you can. And then you start to rotate, rotate, rotate. Spiral this part of your chest open, open, open. Push your back foot into the floor. Push your front foot into the floor, stabilizing the pelvis, and then add that trunk rotation to whatever's appropriate for you. And if you are going to come down lower without rounding your spine, you could try that. Not one is better, but one is better for you. So choose that one. Take one more breath. And then to come out of this, you bend the front knee, take that tension out of your body, keep your throat open, your head lifted, front of the spine open, and you bring yourself up. If you practice moving with awareness in your class, in your practice, and here with me, then you'll keep that when you move off your mat, that awareness. All right, so maybe a block for some of you. We're going to go into another humdinger, loading up and pulling on this hip joint and pelvis like crazy today, and the spine, creating lots of bone building stimulation. Today is lots of mechanical forces for bone remodeling. All right, we're going to come into a warrior 3. So the warrior 3 posture, let me show you the warrior 3, long spine loading into the hip joint. You could have hand on chair, hand on block. You could have both hands on your block, whatever it takes to keep that straight spine. You could lift one hand off. You could lift both hands off if that's available to you. Okay, so we're going to come into that warrior 3. Let's do left foot first. So you're going to take the feet hip distance, push your body weight to the left, push the left leg into the ground. Hand is on the back of the chair. And then you're going to bend at your hip. Keep your left leg straight. Bend at your hip to wherever you can. Maybe for you it's here. Maybe you're stopping. Okay. And then if you can go a little deeper and bring your hand onto the chair, Push your body weight back so you're in your foot. See if you can lift those toes off the left foot and then put the toes back down. Right leg is lifted, activated. Press the belly button towards the spine. Really activate that right foot. Lift it as high as your body feels comfortable. If you want, you can lift the left arm off diagonal, if that's okay for you, if you want that. And if you want to lift both off, lift both off. Lengthen your spine, open your throat, don't let your head hang. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. Bend your knee. I'm sure you're feeling that, right? Loading up that hip in that deep flexion position, that's a pretty intense posture, I think. Warrior 3 is another one of those super challenging postures. Feet are together, push your body weight onto your right foot, take your hands on the chair. Start to lift the left leg, toes point down towards the ground the whole time. Don't let your toes point out to the side. Come down, come down, come down to wherever it is appropriate for you. Push your hands into the chair to lengthen your spine. Lift that leg, activate your core to lift the leg. Push your body weight back and then lift the toes off the floor and then put them back down. So you're really weighting in your leg. Lift that left leg. If you want to lift the right arm, you can lift the right arm. If you want to lift the left arm, you can lift the left arm. Up to you, your practice, your body, your bones. Take one more breath. And then to come out, you bend the front leg, take the tension out. Keep your spine long as you bring yourself out. Shake your legs. Let's find a posture of alignment let's do our chair posture. So get your strap that you looped, and get your block. You're going to take your block between your knees and your loop strap in your hands, tying it or looping it, whatever is good for you. You're going to toes are pointing forward, squeeze your block, hug your lumbar spine with your core, push your belly button back towards your spine, and then let's lower down into a squat position where you're bending the hips mostly, not so much the knees. Look down, you should see your toes, your knees should not be forward. And then lift your arms up, push out on the strap, look up and look forward. This is a hard one, I believe, for a lot of people. Lots of strength, really structure posture here. Push your belly button to your spine, point your tailbone down, lift your arms up, lift your arms long. The weight should be in the heels, not in the toes. Squeeze the belly, squeeze the block, squeeze out on the strap. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up and out. Let's do the mountain posture to align everything. Come into this alignment. Feet are underneath the body. Take the hands down alongside your body. Feel your feet in the floor. You could close your eyes if that's okay for you, if your balance is okay. Press your hands back. Reach your hands down long. Find length in your spine. Spine is open. Shoulder blades are on the back, moving towards the spine. Neck is long. Press your head back so it's an extension of your spine. Breathe down to your feet. Chest is lifted. Smile. And take one more breath. Allow yourself to come out. Shake your hands. Shake your legs. We're going to come down into the final posture, which is Shavasana, the posture of integration. Allowing everything that we just practiced to settle into every cell in your body, every bone cell in your body, all that mechanical stimulation to stimulate your body, to go into all that mechanical stimulation to build more bones. All right. So we're going to come down onto the ground. Make sure you come safely down onto the ground. Come all the way down onto the ground. Draw your knees into your chest. Move your low back towards the floor and rock side to side. And then you're going to let your body go into Shavasana. Legs up the wall if your low back is bothering you, or coming into a regular Shavasana position. So I think I'm going to come into the legs up the wall since I'm near one. It's not about your legs touching the wall. Your legs don't have to touch the wall. And then letting go, letting go, letting go. Oops. again to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness to your body, noticing what you notice. Take your fingers, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. And draw your knees into your chest. For most people, this is relieving, adding that flexion to lower lumbar. And if it's not for you, then do something else that would be a nice ending movement for your body. We're going to bring ourselves on our side and eventually leading with the shoulder, not the head. Bring yourself all the way up. Finding a seated position in your body that feels good for you. Try to keep your eyes closed. We're going to close this practice with sound, creating this nice vibrational force in our body to settle and to relax. Take your hands together. Press your chest gently towards your hands so you feel the help posturally when you do that. And make sure your body is coming right out of your pelvis. Throat is slightly closing as the back neck lengthens. Very, very slight. We'll close with a sound, a nice hum. Take an exhale to create space. Inhale. Bowing in gratitude. At your hip joint, not your spine. Namaste. Today's practice definitely had a lot of stronger postures in it. So make sure whenever you do what you're doing that it's appropriate. If you have pain or discomfort for 1, maybe 2 days after the practice, that's okay usually. That's a muscular aspect. However, if it goes on a little farther or a little longer, maybe you need to not be in postures as long or do modifications. And the other thing is that you need to be aware of what's happening. Be really honest with yourself in how long should you hold this? How much should you be doing? The more you can create a lot of strength in your bones with these postures, whether you do the full range of motion or you do a modification. So please make sure that you take care of yourself. And if you have any injuries, don't do things in areas that your body is injured in. So thank you. And I hope you're feeling good and great and you feel all that bone building stimulation. I know I do. I'm definitely gonna feel this. All right, so let me hear it, ladies or boy. I know Steve usually is here. So he usually emails me afterwards to say I was there. So Steve quite often is with us in my live classes for osteoporosis since 2014. Thousands of people that I've seen, 2 of them have been men out of thousands. So that's what, that's why I say that. All right, let's see. So Patty. Yes, Patty, totally overwhelming. So the summit is great. If you're not watching already, please go to my website and download that. I put my link here. It is. And when I watch it too, I'm like, take this, don't take this, do that. And that's what it is with everything. It's like the more we're learning, the more we think we know, the less we know, because this thing says to do this and this thing says to do that. And so you have to make the decisions that are right for you. And that's why I think doing functional testing and looking at what are your needs when you do functional testing, you can get a little bit more of an idea of where you really have your issues that are contributing to bone loss. But yeah, it is. It's overwhelming and amazing, right? Oops, let me see. Yes, but I did feel that too, especially when I was listening to something. I'm like, what? But I've heard not to do that. And so, oh, bummer. Well, I hope it wasn't too garbled. Kathy, I feel like I haven't seen you yet. Great. Good. Yes, Kathy. So good to see you. So good to have you here. Yes, it was Shannon Strong. Great. Have the rest of the day. Carolyn. Yes. Sue B from the Yukon. How is it up there? Freezing. What is the temperature today for you, Sue? Oh my gosh. Let me see. You're in the Yukon. Can I do that on my weather app? Does it go all the way up to the Yukon? Let me see. And I don't know if that's like a town. Okay, Yukon, Canada. You might be telling us, what? -16. Sue is at -16 degrees. Okay. We have to like send you some warmth. Here's some warmth coming your way. It'll be 4 tomorrow. Oh, 4. But I think that means +4. You're -16 today. -10. It warmed up. It's warming up, Sue. It's coming to 14 degrees. So I think that that's warm. Oh, you're going to get snow on Friday. Anyway, that's pretty amazing. Well, it's good to have you here. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all feel really good and you did what was appropriate for you. Reach out to me with any questions, comments, suggestions. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll see you all when I see you. Bye. You're welcome, Stevie. I know you did everything today, Stevie. And you can. All right. Bye, everyone.